Everybody, this is Jared Carter Sr., HBCU Digest Radio, joining you for the final sign-off and the final appearance of mine, or formal appearance of mine, as the editor of the HBCU Digest, or Education News Flash. In case you haven't heard over the last week, if you didn't, I recently joined the family at Howard University, where I'll be serving as the director of operations, strategy, and communications. And part of my time and tenure at Howard will require, and only appropriately so, that I no longer serve as the face of an independent news operation. And so I just wanted to drop a video to let folks know who haven't heard that this is what's happening, to specifically talk to everybody who's invested in and finds valuable the HBCU Digest and Education News Flash over the better part of a decade, and to thank some folks for the success that the Digest has enjoyed, and by way of that, how my family has been able to benefit. And I'm going to try to do this in one take without crying, and I failed at that over the last couple of days, so we're going to try to make it this time. Part of the question that I've gotten over the last couple of days is why are you leaving? Why are you going to an institution when you've dedicated so much time to covering these institutions? And the reality is that even 5 years into the Digest, I realized that it wasn't responsible, and it wasn't the best fit for the sector to have one person serving as the primary beat writer, so to speak, of 100 plus institutions, 2-year and 4-year schools all throughout the United States, different cultures, different political spectrums, different areas that impacted these schools in really powerful, positive and negative ways. And even though I attempted to do it, I never thought that it was fair just for one person to do it. And even though I came up with the idea, I never thought that it was reasonable or sustainable to do it that way. So you need to know that this wasn't a snap decision over the last month, over the last year, even over the last 5 years. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. And to that point, the first three people that I want to thank, Amani Jackson, Autumn Arnett, and Dr. Crystal DeGregory. These are three sisters who wrote for the Digest, who believed in it. They lended their expertise, their intelligence, their charisma, and their impact to the Digest, and helped it grow in immeasurable ways. And without them, the Digest wouldn't have been able to really impact issues in the way that it needed to do so over these last 10 years, and they're foundational to that. So I'm grateful to those three sisters for all of their hard work and their intentionality in supporting the Digest in the various terms that they did. The reason that the Digest was able to be successful over the 10 years, I think, is in large part because the HBCU community really quickly saw that I was trying to be serious, that I wanted to cover HBCUs in more ways than just culture and marching band and nurturing environments. And I wanted to talk about workforce development. I wanted to talk about finance and construction and federal policy and compliance and all the things that comprise higher ed, but from the historically Black context. And I think that the way that I was able to do that is because, first and foremost, people invested in it. And so I want to specifically thank, there's so many people that I have to thank, but I want to specifically thank several people. Tammy Thomas, formerly of Bowie State University; Yuri Milligan, formerly of Hampton University; Sharon Saunders, formerly of Florida A&M and Bennett; Ayana Hernandez at North Carolina Central; Alonda Thomas, FAMU, Howard, Jackson State; David Hort from Jackson State; Kansas Johnson at Prairie View A&M; Kelly Sharp, Tennessee State; Keisha Pickett at Bethune-Cookman; Archie Tucker at Alabama A&M; Stan Donaldson at Norfolk State; Edwina Hamby at Fisk; George Johnson from Oakwood and now at Claflin University; Melinda Spaulding at Texas Southern; Matt White at Hampton. These are just some people who, specifically from a public relations and marketing perspective, believed in the Digest continually. And I don't mean that just through advertising. I mean that through providing press releases and making people available for interviews. That's the currency with which the Digest was able to operate. That's the reason, I was able to interview, on the record, more HBCU presidents than anybody in history. And it's the reason I was able to break so much important news on research, on policy, on fundraising, all of these things it's because of those folks who oversaw the PR and the marketing function of the institution. So without them, the digest wouldn't have existed even 10 years. So I'm grateful to every one of them. Along those lines, the presidents of these institutions have availed themselves to have really tough conversations, to have honest conversations, both on and off the record. They were able to help me to think like a president, and to write like a president, and to approach this craft with a certain sobriety and a seriousness that even when I started when I was 29, they didn't allow my arrogance and brashness to get in the way of what they saw would be positive for the culture. And so I'm grateful to folks like Harold Martin, Chancellor at North Carolina A&T, Paulette Dillard at Shaw, Ronald Mason, formerly at Jackson State and Southern, now at UDC, Andrew Hughini, Alabama A&M, Michael Sorrell at Paul Quinn, M. Christopher Brown II, formerly of Alcorn in Kentucky State, McCullough Abdul at Virginia State, Rosalind Carcardis, Florida Memorial, and now Benedict George T. French, formerly of Miles, now Clark Atlanta, Roderick Smothers at Philander Smith, Quentin Ross at Alabama State, Thomas Hudson at Jackson State, Herman Felton, formerly of Wilberforce, now at Wiley, Dewan Warmack, formerly at Harris Stowe, and now at Claflin, A. Zach Faison, now at Edward Waters, David Thomas at Morehouse, James Hildreth at Meharry Medical, Javon Adams Gaston at Norfolk State, Glenda Glover at Tennessee State, Van Newkirk at Fisk, Leslie Pollard at Oakwood, Ernest McNeely at Allen, formerly of Stillman. These presidents made it a priority for the HBCU Digest to be a part of their news coverage and the way that they wanted the word to get out about their schools. And they had very honest conversations with me about things they often didn't want to talk about. And so I'm so grateful that presidents saw that what the Digest was trying to do and really turned the tide on HBCU coverage by making themselves available to me and to the Digest. And by way of that, to the HBCU community, I'm just in debt, but because of the way they believed in me. So thank you, brothers and sisters, for that. Also critical to the Digest success in the way that I tried to think about policy and read through, countless hours of policy documents and coverage, local coverage all over the country. A lot of folks don't know, on a daily basis, I would read 30, 40 newspapers, even those that didn't have HBCU coverage in them, just to try to get an understanding of how states and counties and regions were looking at higher education. And the way that I was raised to do that is because of some really impactful former presidents who were serving or begun serving when I started the Digest, or during the course of my work with the Digest, are now not in official presidential capacities, but still very much giants in the culture. And so Diane Suber, Dorothy Yancey, Cynthia Jackson Hammond, Eugenia Freeman, James Anderson, Charlie Nelms, Frank Pogue, the great late Fred Humphreys, folks like that. They would have really serious conversations with me, and when I screwed up, they would call and essentially say, "You're screwing up," but like a son. And so I think that I was able to mature as a man and as a professional because of folks like that, and obviously because of the sitting presidents too. But the former presidents were really on my behind, and really took time to help me understand nuance about things like accreditation, and interface with lawmakers, and just really schooled me to think of our sector even in a more dynamic way. Also can't forget Amira Mangum. Just so much that they poured into me, and at the risk of not melting down and crying like I have over the last couple of days, just leave it there, that those are dynamic people who really work and save this culture from itself a lot of times. I'm also grateful to a lot of the content creators with whom I came up. Eric Moore was at onidan.com. was a great influence with Only Dan Sports. A lot of people don't know that I started out as HBCUSportsblog.com. And in January of 2010, shifted to HBCUdigest.com. And along the way, met some really great brothers. Stephen Gaither of HBCU Game Day, Tolly Carr, also of HBCU Game Day, William Foster at HBCU Money. These were the peers that I always tried to keep pace with because they were so good and are so good at what they do in covering HBCU athletics and finance. And so just thank you, brothers, for the example and for the competition. And I hope I was able to keep pace because you guys are out of this world and doing the sector a great justice. And then there are some folks who were just kind of God tier in my life in changing the direction of the digest, just in powerful ways. Jelani Zarif, who helped me come up with HBCU Voices of STEM Excellence, which was a interview series where we highlighted brothers and sisters at PhD levels of research across all different kinds of sciences. That really broke the mold. And it will continue to break the mold. Hopefully, my brother Jelani will continue on as host, hopefully after I'm gone. And that is something that was groundbreaking, it's particularly to showcase Black women in natural, applied, and medical science. That was just something that has never been seen before from a first-person perspective of these brothers and sisters explaining how did they get from somewhere like Jackson, Mississippi to Johns Hopkins University, or how do you become the first, Black woman astrophysicist, or a PhD astrophysicist from Norfolk State. These are the kind of stories that we told, and Jelani was key and is key to that. So thank you, brother, for your kind words. Nick Perkins, you guys know this brother. He's from Fayetteville State and Howard University. He's now the owner of Fuddruckers, but before that, he was Perkins Management Service Company, Inc., and he was one of the first investors in the HBCU Digest. And there would be no Digest, there would be no HBCU Awards without him. And so, Nick, that you're one of about 6 or 7 Qs on the earth that I just adore. And I appreciate you, brother. And you know that. And I try to tell you every time I think about it. And I hope you know that. So thank you. Johnny Taylor, the former president and CEO of Thurgood Marshall College Fund, just an extraordinary advocate on behalf of the HBCUs. Even when I got in trouble, he would be the first to try to bail me out of it with people. I mean, as high up as the White House and as low down as a dean at a campus. He schooled me. He protected me in a lot of ways, and he's always supported me. And so, Attorney Taylor, brother, I love you and I appreciate you, man. Bill Harvey at Hampton, president of Hampton, for his wise words. This is another part of that Omega Psi contingency, for which I'm grateful. Just thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. All your words, all your calls, all your investment, allowing me to have the HBCU awards there, allowing us to name our Lifetime Achievement Award after you. You're the greatest, man. I don't know how else to put it. And then Earl S. Richardson, the president emeritus of Morgan State University, who was my president as a student and as an employee at Morgan. Just an absolute genius and savant at leadership and advocacy. And so much of what I know, I learned from him while I was a student, and I'm forever his student. And so, Doc, brother, thank you. I love you, and you don't know how much you mean to me and my family. And then obviously, my immediate family, my parents, Herman and Evelyn, Bobby and Iris Harris, I can't even call them in-laws. They're like my second set of parents, my second mom and dad, my brothers and my sisters, Jason and Jamila, Steve and Erica, for all their support and cheerleading, thank you. Immense amount of gratitude for you. And then obviously, my Peach Cobbler family here in Baltimore. Thank you for all of your support. And then my wife and babies, Dr. Lakita Carter, Jarrett Jr. and Landon, Colton and Elise. All of this and everything to follow is for you guys. And so thank you for allowing me to do this the way I wanted to do it. I know there was a bunch of times where we were eating dinner and I had a laptop with me trying to write stories. There were a lot of late nights when I got started. Keita, you wanted to throw the laptop out the window and you didn't. And you constantly would tell me how much you believed in me, and how much you cheered on what I was doing. And that meant a lot when I didn't believe that what I was doing made a difference. And so, and I'm grateful to you and the little ones for the constant drive in my life, the constant love in my life. Even when I thought I didn't deserve it, you guys made me a believer in myself and a believer that I was worthy of love in that way and in other ways. So thank you. So before I melt down, people ask what the future is. And right now I don't know. And the last set of folks that I want to thank and to charge formally are the folks from Digest After Dark. So that's Canella Eatman, Taylor Smith, Laura Brooks, Horace Kilgo, Eric Price, Winston Coffey, Kevin Davis, my brother. Thank you. And I hope that you guys, with me in some respects, without me in most respects, will figure out a way to responsibly do this. Most of all, Tiffany Brockington, my sister, and I'm so proud of you for not only what you've done with the Digest, but what you've done in your career, the tenacity with which you face working with me and talking to me on a daily basis. I appreciate you, and I'm excited to see what the Digest After Dark project will do next. You guys in this video have heard me name a lot of Black women, and that is the final thing that I will say about the Digest and where it should go. It's one thing, for me or anybody else to have an idea like this, and it's another thing for the idea to effectively work for the community. It is only fitting and appropriate that whatever direction the Digest takes next, that it is intimately and holistically involving of Black women. Black women, not just from the perspective that they need to be heard and that they lead our communities in so many ways, but the numbers just make sense. There are no HBCUs, there are no HBCU communities, there is no HBCU philanthropy without Black women. And so to that point, if there is to be a future of the HBCU Digest and Education Newsflash, it should be a Black women or some Black women in charge of it. And so I am hopeful that I can play a role in more Black women being a part of the Digest and being a part of the future direction. And to everyone who has ever invested $1 in this project, as a subscriber, as an advertiser, in any way, I am completely grateful for you. There are so many things in which you can invest your resources, your hard-earned money, and that you would choose the Digest to be among those things means more to me than you will ever know. And I hope that you continue your investment, even though I can't be a part of it. I will always be a part of it in working to direct your investment to responsible writers and content creators and ideas that promote the survival and the growth of HBCUs. So if you're watching this, please stay as a subscriber, as an investor, as a believer, as a commenter, everything, please stay, because the best is yet to come. I may have started it. I may have even done a good job at it, but the better days are ahead, and I hope you'll stick around to see them. To everyone, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. None of this was me. It was all you. It was always about you, and will always be about our success together. And for everybody who's glad to see me go, you should know that whoever replaces me is going to be more thorough than I am. So you shouldn't rest easy. You shouldn't rest easy, because the work is just getting started. Thank you again to Doctors Wayne A.I. Frederick and Tashni DeBroy at Howard. Thank you for an amazing opportunity. I won't let you down. Howard University community, I won't let you down. I'm excited to join you. And for the rest of the HBCU community, I'm looking forward to the fight with you in a different way, but I'm looking forward to being in the fight with you. Thank you.